King Charles I of England was one of the most controversial monarchs in British history. His life was filled with royal ambition, religious division, civil war, and eventually public execution. This is the full story of Charles I, the man who lost his head and changed the British monarchy forever. Charles was born on November 19, 1600 in Dunfermline, Scotland. He was the second son of King James VI of Scotland and Anne of Denmark. When his father became King James I of England in 1603, uniting the crowns of Scotland and England, Charles became a prince in both kingdoms. As a child, Charles was shy and physically weak. He had a speech impediment and was less favoured than his older brother, Prince Henry, but when Henry died suddenly in 1612, Charles became the heir to the throne. Charles became King Charles I in 1625 after his father's death. That same year, he married Henrietta Maria of France, a Catholic princess. Their marriage was deeply unpopular with the English Parliament and Protestant public, as England was officially a Protestant country, and anti-Catholic feelings ran high. Charles and Henrietta Maria eventually had 9 children, including Charles II, who would later become king after the monarchy was restored, James II, who would also become king but be removed during the Glorious Revolution, Mary, Elizabeth and Henry, among others. Despite initial difficulties, Charles and Henrietta grew close and had a loyal, affectionate marriage. One of Charles's greatest challenges was religion. He believed in the divine right of kings, the idea that God gave monarchs their authority, and he wanted to control the Church of England. Charles supported a high church Anglican style of worship that included rituals, bishops and decorations that looked too Catholic for many Protestants. His decision to appoint William Laud as Archbishop of Canterbury and impose uniform worship across England and Scotland made things worse. In 1637, he tried to force a new prayer book on the Presbyterian Church of Scotland. The Scots rebelled, and this began the Bishops' Wars, the first major conflict in what would become the Wars of the Three Kingdoms. Charles had a tense relationship with Parliament from the beginning. He needed money to fund wars and royal expenses, but Parliament refused unless they got more control. From 1629 to 1640, Charles ruled without Parliament in what is called the personal rule, or the 11 Years' Tyranny. He raised money through forced loans, ship money and fines, all of which made him more unpopular. When the Bishops' Wars broke out and he needed funds to fight Scotland, Charles was forced to call Parliament again. This was known as the Short Parliament, but it lasted only 3 weeks before Charles dissolved it. Later that year, he called the Long Parliament, which refused to disband and demanded reforms. Tensions escalated quickly. In 1642, open conflict broke out between the Royalists, also known as Cavaliers, who supported Charles, and the Parliamentarians, or Roundheads, who wanted to limit his power. The war had 3 main phases. First, the First English Civil War from 1642 to 1646. Charles had early support from the nobility and rural areas. Parliament had control of London, the navy and key resources. Oliver Cromwell rose to prominence with his new model army. Charles was defeated and captured in 1646. Second, the Second English Civil War in 1648. Charles escaped and allied with Scottish forces. He was defeated again and captured for the final time. Third, the Third English Civil War from 1650 to 1651. This phase was led by Charles's son, Charles II, and ended with his defeat at the Battle of Worcester. In 1649, Charles was put on trial for high treason, accused of waging war against his own people. The trial was controversial. Charles refused to recognize the authority of the court, insisting he was the lawful king appointed by God. Nevertheless, he was found guilty. On January 30th, 1649, Charles I was executed outside the banqueting house in Whitehall, London. He wore 2 shirts so he wouldn't shiver in the cold and appear afraid. His final words reportedly included, "I am the King of England. I'm the martyr of the people." His death shocked Europe. No English monarch had ever been publicly tried and executed. After Charles's death, England became a republic known as the Commonwealth, led by Oliver Cromwell. The monarchy was abolished and the House of Lords was dissolved. In 1660, after Cromwell's death and years of political instability, the monarchy was restored under Charles II, Charles I's eldest son. Charles I remains one of the most debated figures in British history. He is remembered for his belief in absolute monarchy, his role in starting the English Civil War, his conflict with Protestant reformers, and his execution, which marked a turning point in the history of constitutional government. Some see him as a martyr, others see him as a tyrant. But no one denies that his reign changed the course of British history forever.